Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and thank you for stopping by again. Well, I have some good news, and some more good news, and then some not so good news, some bad news. So let's start from the beginning, see where we end up. The first good news is things are running very well out at the airport. We've just been open now since Monday. We don't have a lot of people that have come through. Keep in mind we're getting about 20% of the flights that we would normally be getting running right at the moment. Of the normal 400 some, we have 80. So it's a lot less stress right at the moment, which is good in the sense that the system is being tested. And the system is working very well, and I think we're ready for much larger numbers, and there's talk of increasing the number of flights, and things look like there's real potential here for growth. Not overnight, because airlines have a lot of work to do to get this all straightened out, so they don't have to go through this process of setting up flights and then taking reservations and then having everything canceled and so on. So, tricky business. But that's why executives are paid the big salaries, and that's their problem, not ours. It only becomes our problem if it affects us. Let's hope it does not. Now, when you come in, the whole process is really very simple and very straightforward. Now, I'm going to put a link down in the description beneath this video. This is to a site here, a government site in English. It's very clear, very attractive. I mean, they've done a good job of it. It tells you exactly what you need to do, exactly what's going on, step by step. And if you haven't seen it already, then so be it. I'll have that down there. And you should go in and take a look at it, even if you think you know everything already. It's always good to do that. And as I say, I think they've done a fine job of it. It's in English. It's all in English. It's meant for foreigners. So when you come in, if you don't have a test, the recommended tests, the PCR, so forth, you have to, and you haven't. If you don't have it at all, then you get one right there. And if you have a negative result, which means you don't have the coronavirus, then off you go to the rest of the normal channels, customs and so forth, and out you go. If you have a positive test result, then you have to go into a hotel. The government would take you there. Everything, it's all very, again, civilized. We'll get you everything organized. They move you to a hotel where you have a room, cable television, I'm sure, and your meals are provided and what have you. Now, the test itself will cost you $50 per person. I thought that was very high until I discovered that in the U.S. they were charging $150, $190 for a single test. And no guarantee it was going to get done in 2 or 3 or 4 days. Here it's being done in less than an hour, so and for $50. So it doesn't sound like too bad a deal to me. And if it's been really easy in your country, you're coming with your test anyhow. That shows that you were negative, so you don't have to worry about that. But that's for those who don't come with a test result. Now, those who are positive, they go in, they have to spend 7 days there, and at which point they are tested again, and now, if they're negative, off they go. And if they're not, then they stay in for the final 7 days, and then it's finished. I think the critical thing to understand, the thing that hadn't been clarified to me, I have to read a lot of stuff, I do a lot of things every day, so I don't follow everything carefully, every detail. But I wasn't able to answer the question, who pays for this hotel room? Because in Costa Rica, for example, they require that you come with insurance that will pay for up to $5,000 for food and lodging while you're in a quarantine, and for your medical costs. I mean, just all sorts of stuff, which adds a substantial amount. I don't know, $150, $160, depending on your age, actually, to your visit to each family member. And wow, I mean, that's expensive. That really hurts, to have that dropped on you. In this instance, I was hoping that we could find some way to avoid that, and we did. We're paying for it. So that will be provided by the Panamanian government or the people of Panama to you. I'm sure it will be boring. The food may be perfectly good, it should be, but rather ordinary and what have you. It's not the Hilton Hotel, for God's sakes, but it should be fine. And as I say, the worst thing probably will be the boredom. But that's a heck of a lot less hassle to go through than what you might have had to go through somewhere else, or if you tried to get that test earlier even. I don't know. Whatever. I think if I could get the test before I came, I would get the test before I came. I want to know when I walked out of that plane what was going to happen next, and have to go through waiting for the results of this and so on, hoping that I didn't have it. I could do without that. But if that's the case, that's what happens. No, that's not so bad. I think that's all good news, and we'll keep an eye on it, of course. To see as the flights increase and more people come, there are bound to be complaints at some stage or another. It's run of the mill. I'm not too worried about that. I think we're onto something good here. So, what's the next good news? Well, keeping my little list over here, I don't want to miss anything. Well, I think I should put it this way: as far as rentals and buying and purchasing is concerned, there are deals in the city, the whole urban area here. You know, I've been talking about this in the past, and we have this little Metro Match program, which you don't pay for. I mean, the only people who get paid here are the agents, and they get a commission that's paid by the seller, you know, so you're not paying a penny. It would be true for any agent, of course. And all I do is that if you contact me and say, could you help me find one? You know, I have 3 at the moment that I have worked with in the past. I know them well, and I trust them. So, I mean, it's not that they're to cheat you, but what I really dislike is somebody trying to push you up in price when you say this is our limit, and then they show you something far in excess of your limit. In this particular case, any decent agent should be able to hear what you have to say, and they know from me that if you say 180 is our top amount, you know, $180,000, that taking you to see a place for $220,000 is obviously not in the cards, unless they can say, pretty assuredly that they believe that you could get 180 at that particular place because they really need to sell it. If that were the case, I would go look, and then if it was, then I'd offer it. And I really wanted it, of course. Then I'd offer 180 and see what happened. But if it didn't, I know, forget it. I prefer, with the inventory we've got now, it seems to me that we should be able to find things in your range. Now, you can get a range that's way too low. We're not finding rentals at $300, $400, $500 a month. No. But 1 bedroom, 1 bath, I don't remember how far up in the building it was. Being up in a condo is a nice thing, and you get a good view, and you get separated from much of the noise of the center city. So what's the big problem? I love it, you know, frankly. But if you're there, then this $800 will get you 1 bedroom, 1 bath. The balcony will probably not be over the ocean, but the city views can be very pleasant too. We're not New York City. It's a little bit different. You realize when you get here, we're a little bit more spread out. Anyhow, there certainly exist, and you can get up to the 2 bedroom, 2 bath area. You can get there for $900, certainly for $1,000, probably less. Again, it depends on who you're talking to. I mean, you might be able to score something that would, as in one case, an offer was made that would very likely have gone for or been offered at $1,500 before the pandemic in this particular neighborhood, and I found that believable. It's not necessary that it was going to get rented, but I mean that seemed like a very real price for that neighborhood, and it was now being offered at $900. Now that's pretty dramatic, but that's a 40% drop, for heaven's sakes. You're not likely to find that or more than that very frequently, but I don't know. The point is you've got a lot to show, and agents do have that inventory, and their job is to see to it you don't end up going and wasting your time somewhere which is clearly not what you're looking for. That's their basic job, and then also to introduce you to various parts of the city. But that is up to you. If we can do that, fine, but I don't care, and I'm always happy to chat with any of you who comes in anyhow, and myself, but also you may have somebody else you've checked with, a friend has recommended somebody. By all means, What I don't recommend is that you just go off on your own, expecting that you're going to be able to figure this whole thing out. Now, there are some people who have lived in Latin America before, and other countries, and they feel comfortable in doing this. They may even have fluent Spanish, but I would suggest they be careful. It never hurts to use an agent. You don't have to buy the things just because the agent shows you, and it's not costing you anything. So, I mean, the important point here is that people come from cities and they find that prices here are much higher than they expected. Well, that's probably because we don't have rioting in the streets. Because we have a strong economy, because 40% of our population is not living in dire poverty. I'm sorry, but I mean, there are reasons why things are more expensive, and they're good reasons. Not all bad reasons by any stretch. But they're used to finding rentals, for example, or some sales much cheaper than you might find in Panama City, but I wouldn't trade places with them. I mean, I wouldn't go there, wherever they're looking at. They are happy there, that's fine with me, but it's going to be almost impossible for them to replicate this here. We're not in that point in our development. I'm sorry, but other than that, I mean, we have so many possibilities. There's so much here, and it's so much cheaper than it was a year ago. At least people are much more practical about what they're going to offer and what they're going to accept. They're much more get to it and find the right price and try to settle rather than being cagey and clever. And that's what I see so far. Now, your experience may be different. Everybody's may be when they come down. But as far as I'm concerned, this is really excellent time to go out and find a place to rent or buy. But that doesn't make it easy to get down here, of course, for you. And as I was asked how many apartments are available in town, and I said, plenty. Don't worry, they're not going to all disappear next Tuesday. So, but still, our people are eager. Eventually, that will quiet down, but we need more buyers before that comes about. So that's it. As far as I'm concerned, that's a good one. Okay, so the getting into the country is good news, and what you find when you get here, if you're in buying or renting mode, at least in the urban area, and I'm sure it's the same out in the countryside too, is very good, is as good as it can be, all right? As good as it has been in a long time. So that's good news too. What's the bad news? Now, it's not here. It's more likely where you are now. And maybe not, and I hope not, but for a lot of you, it's true. I mean, I'm sitting here today, big headline I just saw an hour or so ago saying 38 states in the District of Columbia have had surges in their case counts, and this I've been watching this for some time, and of course the European Union, oh my gosh, look at Italy, look at Spain, here we go. There's so many different nations now, and it's getting colder, and the standard flu will make itself felt at some point in time. It's not going to be easy. At this time, keeping people inside isn't going to work very well. They're going to get more and more frustrated. I don't know how it's going to be dealt with, but I know it's likely to be a little looser. It's going to have to be to some extent. It's not just a vaccine. Everybody knows we need a vaccine, but above all, I think we need this quick, rapid, you can do it at home test, so that people in their own home can figure out where they are, what's happening to them. And if they have any sign of it, they can get taken care of quickly and immediately, as opposed to finding out, 2 weeks later when the first really bad symptoms show up. I'm told, I read at least, that there are such rapid, accurate tests that have been developed, but they have to be tested, they have to be proven, and I hope they're soon, and that they come out there. I think that will at least improve the situation while we're still waiting for that vaccine to come. So anyhow, whatever the case may be, that's the bad news. It hurts. It's bad news for us in the sense that you may get locked down again. We're accepting everybody right at the moment that I know of. I don't know anybody we would turn down who showed up here. Our people can't go anywhere, but they want to, but people can come here. It's not true in other countries like Costa Rica, again, which has a list of countries that they actually accept people from, and a list of states within the U.S. and so on. So, but we're not that way. So, and it's working so far. And all that is great. So the good news definitely outweighs the bad news at this point in time, and we will all hope and pray that that bad news will begin to decline. One last little point to Canadian friends. I don't know. I just mentioned this because, well, maybe because my mother was born in Canada, but beyond that, these are snowbirds who are coming down to Florida, Arizona, and any number of other southern states in the United States right now. I was just reading about them in the Wall Street Journal. They're not out in my audience tonight. I doubt very seriously. I know I got a lot of Canadians. Hi, guys. But these people would normally be on their way down to their residence. They own the places in the South, and they can't get there. The border's closed down. They can't go down, period. And they can't see their own residence, their own home. And I have rent a place. I mean, we just don't have Canadian snowbirds? Please. I mean, that's just bizarre up in the United States. That's a tragedy, and it's a tragedy for them. Now they're stuck. They're going to Vancouver because that's the sunny South as far as they're concerned, you know. No insult intended to Vancouver, which is a gorgeous city, but the point is that here are people who've invested serious money in purchasing a residence and have spent every winter for God knows how many years down in warmer weather, and now suddenly they can't get there. And those who don't own a house but have a place like my parents did, they always rented when they went out. The same place, same woman. She liked them. They liked her. They were good renters. So she never raised the price, and she kept the place for them every year. And now that would have crushed them if they had not been able to get down there, and she'd had to rent it to somebody else, and that whole cycle would have been broken. So anyhow, the only reason I mention this to our Canadian friends, if you got somebody who's in really despair, if they want to, I mean, if they come here, we can help them find a short-term rental that's furnished, that is not going to cost them an arm and a leg, certainly not in comparison to many places available there. And if they want, and I would do whatever I could to be helpful to them, and at least send them in the right direction, even if it was outside the city or whatever, to do that if they were interested in doing it. I mean, probably they're not interested at all, and they're hoping that the border opens up and they get down to their residence. I don't blame them. But if it's otherwise, we're open for business. Now is as good a time as any. So, passing that along to everybody north of that particular border, and also to those of you who live in other countries where it's getting cold too, and where you may not have your traditional snowbird place, or your winter home available. If you're now out in the internet looking for alternatives, here we are. And we're quite friendly. And we have quite a variety to offer. So, enough. I am delighted to be able to share the good news. I will hope the bad news fades and that we get more and more of the good news. I know that everybody wants this to end, and nobody more than I do. And I hope it will do so. So we're just going to have to tough it out. We're going to have to work through it. We will do so. But down here in Panama, we are open for business. We have a sun. Thank you very much. And I look forward to talking to you again very soon. The next one's going to be on Panama City.